decades to see something like that. However, if you own a telescope, you can almost always see a comet. There's almost always a comet out there. Right now, it would be in September, Comet Howell. It's going to go from Libra into Scorpius. It will reach magnitude 9. And if you've seen Comet Neowise, you will be extremely disappointed in Comet Howell. It's like a small, unresolvable globular cluster. But if you enjoy hunting those things down, I think Sky and Telescope has a finder to help you find that. The book, I don't know if I can, backwards, right? Star Watch by Phil Harrington. I'm often asked by beginners, what do I look at? And I tell most beginners there are books to help you know what to look at. I like Star Watch by Phil Harrington for one reason, is that if you do everything that he talks about in this book, you will do all the Messiers and a lot of bright NGCs. He also has finder drawings in here that are good enough that you don't really, well, you can get by without a star atlas. He describes what, if anything, you can see with the binoculars, what it's going to look like in the telescope. And I think for beginners, it's a very good book. Also want to mention, we talked last time about the Herschel 400. And Stephen James O'Meara, and I know it's backwards, Stephen James O'Meara has a book called the Herschel 400 Observing Guide. If you want to tackle that, I wouldn't tackle it without the book. Extremely helpful.
Is that an astronomical league book, or is that one of the major requirements on the Messier project is to do it by star hopping? They disallow go to or push to, and they even strongly discourage analog setting circles. So the idea of really starting over again was not something I cared to do. So wanted to do that one, but I skipped it since I couldn't use the observations I already had. So another one that came to mind that was of great interest to me was the Hydrogen Alpha program. And the reason that I thought that would be an interesting one to take a look at was the fact I have a telescope, Hydrogen Alpha telescope. I get it out every day and use it with or without the AL program. And when I looked into the program, it emphasized the fact that you're going to use either sketches to make a number of drawings of what you're seeing, or you could use a camera. Since I don't have a camera, then I have to fall back on the sketching part. But I think I have some sketching skills, so that was not a problem. But the program's requirements are also on the modest side. You need a total of 43 sketches or images. They want 20 full disk images of the sun over 10 each, for example, on 2 rotations. There's 2 rotations of the sun that they want to see. And then there's 14 prominence types that they wanted images of, as well as 6 of 9 chromospheric feature types. The question that, and I found those to be, that's really a fairly simple set of observations and sketches that have to be made. So that's a fairly low bar to get over. I asked a question last month about reference books. They don't require any. There are 5 that they list. And if anyone else is going to do the program, I really would strongly recommend at least having an observer's guide, some sort of a simple overview of the sun. There's many out there that tell you all about what it's doing in terms of the objects that the league wants. It would cover those as well. They also had a book on sketching that it turns out actually has a lot of good hints. So I would recommend that sketching book that they have on the list. So when I looked at the requirements, I put together a logbook, a sample anyway, and sent it over to Phil for review to see if he thought that would be a suitable logbook for it. He said it was, and that he and 1 or 2 other people in the club would review it before submitting it to the AL for their review. And he also asked that I do an update for everyone to let everyone know that there's another program going on and what the status was. So we've already looked at that, and so the log I put together had a cover page just out of habit to show, and an introductory section to describe what it was, and then I set this up in Excel, and it has tabs for the full disk drawings, prominence types, and chromospheric features, but I won't go any deeper into that. The workflow that I use, real simple. Just set the lunt up. The lunt 80 millimeter single stack. It's on an Altez mount, so it's pretty much grab and go. Doesn't weigh that much, so it lives in my dining room, and every clear morning and in most clear afternoons, it's out looking at the sun, and with the sketch requirements, I'm actually drawing some things. So I have my own template that I put together, and it has space to record all 9 or so of the things that the league wants in terms of seeing conditions and, you know, the date, the time, the rotation number of the sun at that point, eyepiece used, things like that, and then I have a comment section. Can you see both of the sketches that are on the screen there?
Yeah.
I hope so.
Not the
So
lowest.
once I get done with the actual observation, then I scan it and put it in my my Excel spreadsheet log, and then spray each of the pages with a fix-it so that they don't get all smudged up in the future. So pretty simple workflow. Lessons learned. You would think that with the sun as bright as it is, you wouldn't have to worry about dark adaptation. But if you've done any hydrogen alpha viewing, you know that the eyepiece view is on the dark side. And if you're staring at a white piece of paper in the noonday sun, then you go back and try to look at something in the eyepiece, what you'll find is your sketch pad rather than the sun. And it takes 5 or 10 minutes for that latent image to go away. So that's one of the biggest lessons learned, is figure out how to manage that brightness. So summary here. I thought the Hydrogen Alpha program would be a great starter project. It has limited and very basic requirements for the sketching or imaging if you have the camera. The sun is always active. It's amazing once you start looking at it how quickly things change. One of the first things I noticed was that these filament structures pop up all the time and they just go away. And then recently I've noticed that there's a class of prominences called eruptive prominences. And they're just fascinating to watch. And you see structures that are many times the size of the Earth changing right before your eyes. So it's amazing to see how dynamic even the sun at the bottom of the sunspot cycle is. So as far as my project goes, I have all 20 of the full disk images that they wanted captured. I have more than 10 on the first rotation. We're just into the second rotation now, and I need about three more in order to complete 10 for that. So of the prominence types, I have 12 of the 14. I've never seen a double arch, so I'm hoping that it's not too difficult to get. Hedgerows a month or two ago were so common that I'm really surprised at this point that I haven't got a hedgerow prominence yet. And as of today, I have 8 of the 9 chromospheric features, and I'm not sure I'll be able to get the 9th. It looks like it needs a fairly large image in order to get it. And the 80 millimeter lunt under most conditions is it's only good to about 120 power, and then atmospherics and all get in the way. So we'll see. But anyway, only 6 are required, so I'm actually good there. So really, I'm almost ready to submit. If I could just get those last 2, they require all 14 of the prominence types. Anyhow, so going from the project progress to an observing report, I thought I'd give everybody a look at the artwork that I have done, that I've performed at the telescope. A full disk is shown here. It's got a number of prominences on it. We've got a nice arch type prominence at the top. We've got just a little bitty prominence down here over on the lower left. We've got what turned out to be the latest sunspot that showed up as a couple of pores in a plage. was in the middle of the sun. This is from a couple days ago, 16th, I think. And then I had a flare action that was going on down here at the bottom. So I had a U-shaped set of plages, and then the circular component that's at the bottom. Not sure you can see that. There was a very bright blister that formed on that, and in the space of about 5 minutes, it brightened to considerably more than what the solar disk was. So that's a flare. So they're not that uncommon. And I've seen a couple of other items called Ellerman bombs, which are just bright blisters that brighten to more than the brightness of the disk and then go away. Another one of the prominence types that they require is a pyramid. We've got a pyramid right here. This one's leaning a little bit, but it still counts as a pyramid. The one beneath it is a composite of a mound over here on the left, kind of a hedge in between, and then a nice arch. And then over on the far right, the arch that's at the top of the full disk was drawn in a higher magnification, if you will, just a larger format, so that I could capture more detail. So it ends up kind of interesting. Additional prominences is this broken pyramid. It's broken because it had a void here and a little bit of a void on the top. But more interesting was there's a filament that ran across the sun right up to it. So that's why it's a filoprom. It's a filament anaprom. If you know much about filaments and prominences, it turns out that prominences are just seeing a filament face on, if you will. Whereas when you see a filament on the face of the sun, we're looking right down on it. So it showed the connection between the two types. Another type of prominence that they list is called anomalous, and the one that we see in the middle here turned out to look like a skull. It started out as just a ring. You can kind of see the ring structure here, but over time it developed sort of an eye socket and a chin, and so it was kind of striking how much it resembled a skull. So I imagine this prominence was probably a good 5 or more solar or Earth diameters. So seeing again this thing go from a ring prominence into a skull shape in the matter of just a few minutes was really kind of surprising. Detached prominences I thought would be kind of hard to get, but it turns out they're happening all the time. And the detachment is that you just don't see any visible support for the prominence connecting it to the sun. There was a little bright point over on the right side. I suspect that was the anchor point. It was kind of feeding this whole structure, but I couldn't really see anything. Chromospheric features include sunspots, and we have had a few sunspots over the past few months, even though we're at a minimum. And so I have some sketches here. Filaments, plages. This is that flare region that I talked about, just shown in a larger sketch with all the features identified. Filaments, the plages on both sides, and then this little dot right here in the middle is where the flare started. Just today, I got a so-called field transition arc. Happened to be watching the new sunspot, and it had a very nice plage, very bright plage here, where we had the preceding sunspot, and then the following sunspot, as I was watching, started to grow this filament and this arch slowly developed between them, and the arch that goes between them is the field transition. So just today I picked up number 8 of the 9. But the eruptive prominences are really the most interesting, and this gong image shows the starting point for this eruptive prominence. It's basically just a long arch, and from here over the next couple of hours it changed shapes. So this is the starting point of that eruptive prominence, and then I sketched it across basically 2 hours, and you see the kind of progression and shape change that was occurring over that period of time. And then the day after that, there was another detached prominence that showed up at a little hours, it developed itself into this unconnected arch. So evolution of structures that are larger than the Earth over the space of a few minutes. So if you're looking for an interesting project where you can see real motion, that is to say, if you like to see the moons move around Jupiter or see the Great Red Spot transition, any of those types of things, you can get all that and more on the sun. So I highly recommend it. And as I said, the requirements are not that tough. I think the biggest difficulty is actually getting the equipment. And so if you're interested in doing it, we could probably talk about that, and you could observe with me over at the house here. So that's what I had in terms of progress and observing report.
That's great.
Nice
Very nice.
drawings, Joe.
Excellent.
Yeah.
What kind of pencil were you using?
What kind of sunglasses were you wearing?
I use a variety of pencils. I've got a 6 H. Is it BH or HB? A 4 and a 2, and a nice eraser, and put all of them to good use, along with a 0.5 inch just mechanical pencil that has fairly soft lead in it to get some of the structure in there. So lots of pencils on just white paper, and all of that color that you saw on the disc is manually added with my finger, and some graphite. So the technique is evolving. You didn't see any of the real early sketches, but my technique is getting much better.
Really
All I
nice
had.
drawings. Very nice.
You said you had 20 different disk images. Did you have to take those like, did they require you to catch different things in the images, or just like 20 different pictures?
I looked at it kind of the other way. We've had a lot of really sunny weather, and even sunny weather that happens to have some clouds like today or haze really doesn't really stop what you can see on the sun. It doesn't really do much to it. So pretty much I was just sketching every day that wasn't completely cloudy, and then picking out the prominences and features that fit the bill of the requirements. So it hasn't been real hard to get everything but the last two that I mentioned. It's actually fairly straightforward, and you just have to spend the time. I find that at least an hour per session allows you to see all this stuff evolving. You do have to have the time to spend on the project, but what else have I got to do? So it's okay.
Did anyone else have something they want to share next?
I can't. Yeah, I just have something to share. It'll be brief. Can you read this? This is a picture of the cover of a book that I'd recommend to you. The title is "What Stars Are Made Of." It's the life of Cecilia Payne. I don't know if you're familiar with her or not. It's in the library. It's a book that's just been published in the last year. I think you would enjoy reading the book. Cecilia Payne is one of the most famous female astronomers. A lot of people are not familiar with her name. She is a lady that was a British citizen who later moved to the United States, where there's more opportunity for women in the workplace and in education facilities about 100 years ago, at the turn of the century.
Mm-hmm.
And she began working at the Harvard Observatory with Harlow Shapley. And she revolutionized our understanding of what stars are made of. She studied for years thousands and thousands of spectroscopy plates that they had been accumulating at Harvard. And she came to the conclusion after many years that the theory that stars were made up of materials similar to what makes up the Earth, which was the standard belief at that time, came up with a revolutionary idea that predominantly stars are composed of hydrogen and helium, which we're familiar with today. But back then it was a revolutionary idea that was, and her ideas were initially dismissed. She was scoffed at. The leading astronomers at that time didn't believe her findings. They thought she had created some gross error. But in time, she was proven to be absolutely right. And so she spent her entire career at Harvard. She eventually was allowed to be acknowledged on the teaching staff, first female in the astronomy department at Harvard. And she nevertheless is a famous female astronomer that I think you might enjoy the biography. As you know, this year is the 100th year anniversary of the passage of the 19th Amendment, which gave women the right to vote. So women have come a long ways in many respects, but she was early as far as females in the making headway in the field of astronomy. I think it's a good read. I think you'd enjoy it, and I'd recommend the book to you.
Thank you. I'll add that to my list. Does anyone else want to go?
You want to start talking about product?
Sure.
Okay. Recently, I've had 3-4 people talking to us and having a hard time. Us old geezers actually seeing stuff anymore. And something I thought you might want to try, and I don't. Okay, I guess I'm on here. So yeah, I won't be able to get all this in. Okay, bino viewers. So not binoculars, but bino viewers. So what it does is it splits the beam of light so you can use both eyes, and it's a lot more comfortable once you get it set up. I mean, it does have an adjustment for your interocular dimension here. And one of the drawbacks though is it is long. It adds 4 inches to the light path. So most times you have to use a Barlow with it. But for people that have a hard time seeing fine images and stuff like that, this is another way to go once you get them set up, especially if you're going to spend time at nighttime studying, say, Jupiter or Saturn or the planets as they're positioned now for a long period of time. So you can study them without getting eye fatigue or getting uncomfortable, whatever like that, once you get it all set up. And I usually use 2 sets of eyepieces on this. These are 8 through 24 zoom eyepieces, and also use a 13 millimeter TeleVue Type 6, which is 82-degree field of view for extra wide thing that gives me adequate power and everything. And so anyways, for people out there, you know, if you have a hard time with eye problems or whatever like that, you know, it's another way to go. You know, it's expensive. These things are about $1,000 plus the eyepieces. And so that's kind of Denkmeyer right now is kind of controlling the conversation for these. Botter also makes them. This is a pair of TeleVue that I got a good number of years ago. But in certain instances, it also you have to rebalance your telescopes. They're very heavy. So it's a good thing to have for something different. If you got trouble with one eye, try using 2 eyes.
They also seem to help with seeing conditions. If it's kind of rough, you know, when you don't have very steady seeing conditions up to a point, using the binocular viewer actually settles it down, and you can view through a little bit of degraded condition.
Kind of averages it out a little bit, doesn't it?
It does, yes.
And it gives you more possibilities. If we got time, getting short of time there, I was going to pitch one other thing because we're into kind of planetary stuff now. So for those who are interested, okay, this is what they call an atmospheric dispersion corrector. And what this does is it takes out the, particularly on Venus, when you look at Venus, usually you get red on one side and blue on the other. So what it has is 2 prisms, circular prisms inside, and the center part, let's see which way that, yeah, there we go. You can see that pretty good. This is the central thing there. And so you put that on the horizontal plane, and then these adjust to null out the red and blue on the edges. And works good on Venus, also works on Jupiter, and also Mars, because we're coming up on the Mars here in another couple weeks or whatever like that. So just a possibility. This is from ZWO. They're about 150 bucks. A little problematic. Again, it adds a lot of focal length to the travel, whatever. But if you play with it and finally get it adjusted right, it can really do some wonders for visual observers to take away, especially Venus. Venus is really annoying to me when you look at it and it's like a half disc or something like that, and you just got the bright red and the blue on each end. So some equipment suggestions.
Hey, Ed, that night we were out there a week and a half ago, were you able to see any difference on Jupiter through your reflector?
Yeah, didn't use them that night.
I thought you had that out that night.
Nope. Oh, I had it out, but I didn't plug it in. Again, it's one of those things you got to fiddle with. It takes about a half hour to get set up and try to get the focal length and everything in there. But well, I'll certainly be using it when the Mars comes up there, because Mars always shows that kind of you know, you're looking for the details and everything, the polar cap, and you always get that little tinge of color on the edges, especially when they're low latitude, low on the horizon. So people with money, there's a lot of toys to play with.
We'll just come borrow your toys.
Yeah.
I tried using the bino views at one of the public outreach things, and it was almost impossible. Most people have a hard time getting their eye lined up on a single eyepiece, you know, especially kids and everything else. They work better if you actually, how would I say it? If you don't wear glasses, it's a little more problematic where if you wear glasses, because then you have to get them set for two things there. But if you're nearsighted or farsighted, it shouldn't make a difference. And if you have a astigmatism, then, for example, Teleview has astigmatism correctors or whatever like that. So unless you got some really crazy optical aberration or something like that, you should be able to use them. Once you get them set up for your eyes. But I tried it at public outreach and I just gave up, especially kids. It was just impossible. So, but when we're out there some evening, you like to try it out there, I'd be glad to let you play with it.
Thank you.
I can share something cheap. Phil's been encouraging me to share what I've been doing with my alt-azimuth mount, which is kind of similar to what Peter has done with his big scope. So I can share that, or I can save that for another time.
You can go.
All right.
Good time.
I'm going to try sharing a PowerPoint again. So this is just, PowerPoint hasn't been the best tonight, but we'll try it one more time here.
So far, so good.
Oh, I think it actually made it big.
Yeah.
So this is my little 72 millimeter, and I've been when I try to use it in town, sometimes it's hard to find things just because I can't see that many stars. So down here, I've put a compass ring. Up here, I have an angle meter. And this is a hairline line generator that shines a light down onto the compass ring. So I'll kind of show you all how I use all that. But basically, I've got Sky Safari on an iPad, and so I get the settings, you know, the current setting for whatever I want to look at, set my compass reading to the right setting, and set my angle meter to the right setting. And then you can take a look at it. It's pretty good at getting stuff lined up. It's real easy when I use my 35 millimeter eyepiece because it's almost always in there. Most of the time, even like an 8X, it'll still mostly be in there. So, but because alt-azimuth data is always changing, you've got to have live data. So, so I run this on an iPad out at the site, run Sky Safari on that. and you've got like anything, you've got to align it. And so I'll use like Polaris or Jupiter or Venus to get an initial alignment. And then after that, it's usually pretty good to go. So if you want to look at a double star like Albireo, this was the other night, it was 85 degrees and 40-degree altitudes. So let's see if oh boy, I even got video going. You guys seeing this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, excellent.
Working.
So it looks like I lined up, this is in my basement, but I'm pretending like I lined up on Polaris. It was on 0. And so I'm going to go around over to 85. And I was having trouble seeing around my phone while I was taping it. So it takes me forever to get it to 85 here. But anyway, I do. And then, of course, then I lock that in so my fine adjustment will work. So my hand's going to come in there and lock that up. And then we'll go up to the angle meter. Get that set. We're going for 40 degrees here. And again, lock that up then so the fine adjustment will work. And then when you go in, you're going to see Albireo. Now what's really hilarious is I had just random light reflections that actually look like Albireo in there. So I don't know, kind of a blue and a yellow. So just to let you know how I made this thing, there's a site that I found where you can draw out protractors online. There's a protractor template among a whole bunch of other templates. So you got to find the protractor template.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can make various selections to print it in a variety of different line markings with different distances between your lines. Ultimately, you can save it as a PDF. And then I printed it on paper, I laminated it, and then I glued it onto some stiff plastic and then cut that stiff plastic out so that it fits in between the base and the head on my Twilight 1 mount. And it doesn't turn, it's kind of locked into this notch. I'll explain one reason that happened. Making the hairline marker involved just making a wood support that screws into the top of the mount with a couple of screws that are 1/2 inch longer than the original ones. This was actually an image inverter for an old refractor telescope. And it came originally with this tube that has 2 small lenses in it that flip the image. I put some red plastic on one side to make the light a little dimmer. And I put, you see over here in the lower left, I put a really fine piece of wire glued to the other end to make the hairline. And then this just works with a pen light. This green stuff is just some foam to keep the pen light centered. And this washer just keeps the pen light from dropping in there all the way. If you want to get an angle meter, you want to be sure you get one that's backlit, so you can get these locally like at Lowe's or online. Mine was excessively bright. I've now put a piece of red plastic over it to kind of dull down the brightness so that it's not blinding me when I'm actually out on a good dark night. And then I did something similar for my Star Blast from Orion. I made a 16-inch compass for this and just a crude pointer. And this system works pretty good, but it's a little harder to use than my better mount. I think there's a couple reasons for that. This scope's got a smaller field of view, and it's also got some slop in the mount down here. And instead of trying to fix that, I still use it this way some, but now more recently what I tend to do is I bought a Vixen style dovetail plate, mounted it on the holder for the 4.5 inch, and now I use both scopes on my Twilight 1 mount. And the reason, I used to have my pointer coming out at 90 degrees, but when I started using the reflector with it, when you look through the eyepiece up here, this flashlight was kind of poking me in the other eye. So angled that off at 45 degrees, makes it very usable. So now I can switch scopes in about 30 seconds from one scope to the other. There's actually been a number of nights now I've used both scopes out in the night. I never used to do that. It used to be one or the other. I've been working on the double star list, and I know the newsletter had in there about the summer triangle. And actually, that's where I've been working a lot because I can see it from my driveway, even though I have tons of trees in my yard. Actually, 10% of the Astronomical League double star list is in this region. There's 3 in Cygnus, 4 in Lyra, 2 in Aquila, and 1 in the Dolphin down here. The left-hand star here is a double star. And of course, Albireo is right there. So I've been having a lot of fun with double stars, and that's all I've got.
I have that same
Really
scope
awesome.
as you, the Orion Star Blast, so it might be cool to make something like that for mine.
Yeah, I took that to Kinko's, I think it is, or the whatever's on Coliseum Boulevard, kind of west of the mall. And they were able to print that big 16-inch diameter for me for like $1.25 or something. It really was not expensive.
Nice.
And if anybody wants that website and didn't get it, I can just let me know by.
You can put it in the chat here if
Yeah.
after you stop sharing the screen.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll put that in the chat. So let me quit sharing and let somebody else have a turn. But I've been very pleased with that. It's been so easy to find things now.
How did you attach the angle meter to the telescope?
On the Star Blast, it's a steel tube, so it just sticks. My other telescope, I used one of those big black paper clips to clip on an L-shaped piece of steel, and it sticks to that. But that piece of steel, I have it so it lays flat against the tube, so the angle's, really what the telescope's pointing at. So, but yeah, the smaller telescope is not magnetic, so I had to jury rig there a little bit.
You probably figured this out already, Kent, but on mine I noticed that making sure the azimuth circle is real level makes a lot of difference.
Yeah, I actually, in my box that I carry my eyepieces and stuff in, I have a little level. Yeah, it is best to have it all level.
Cool. Does anyone have any other questions for Kent? Jim, you're raising your hand. Oh, you're on mute.
I have stuff to share when you have time.
Okay. You can go next.
Okay. The last, I don't know, about a week and a half, we went on vacation up to like around Michigan. And I probably spent like over a week up in Wilderness State Park. And that's just a couple miles south of this Headlands dark sky, international dark sky area. And, I tried to go up there when the Pleiades were up, and it was like just jammed with cars trying to get in. But it was pretty dark at the campsite, and like I saw one fireball that was pretty cool. So you could see it looked like a streak that went by, and it was like I'd swear the width of my finger wide, and there was like a smoke trail that lasted about 5 seconds after it. So that was pretty awesome. I didn't see too many, but that made up for a lot of stuff, So I got a few pictures of the Headlands area, and yeah, it's kind of like interesting. They have see if I'm going to go backwards. Yeah, it's like a big building, and they've actually got grass growing on the roof, and they have like a viewing area with benches, sort of like that goes over. And this is Lake Michigan looking west, and that's another area. And there you can see a view of their observatory. I didn't get inside and look at it, but let me see. Oh, that's just a miscellaneous view of Lake Michigan from the campsite, but I'll see if there was something else. Oh, and I saw a character. They had like about a mile, or maybe half a mile trail to the site from the road. it's a winding road, and they had like the bodies in the solar system. Like here's the sun, and that's Mercury, and this is Venus, and they have a whole bunch of stuff, and that's the Earth. So what was interesting to me is over at Jupiter, they had Galileo, and I thought I wanted to bring that to the group's attention because I thought that this picture of Galileo looks a little bit like Geddes, and
Using Phil's telescope model.
Take the hat off, get us so we can compare.
so that's what I noticed, and I just thought, what the heck? So anyway, so they had all the planets there. So, oh, sorry, that's the dog at the water. So
That's the
all
dog
right.
star.
Yeah. She was pretty good, right? Yeah. Okay, there she is jumping in the water. Oh yeah, she likes the water a lot, All right. Well, I'm all done. That was my 2 cents. But the sky is pretty dark. I mean, I looked it up, and they were classing it as between a 3 and a 4 bortle, but the actual magnitude, the background magnitude, was like a 21.4, and the Grand Canyon is like a 21.9, and that's rated at 2. So I'd say I don't know, I could definitely see the Milky Way from horizon to almost horizon. The one side I couldn't see was the side where it's toward the Mackinac city and the bridge, and there's a little bit of sky glow there, and you could easily see like different lobes and things, in the I mean, it's almost looked like you're looking at an outline of, yep, there's a Sagittarius arm, there's this arm, and that was pretty cool, but I didn't see any Gegenschein or any of that stuff, but I looked for that, so maybe a trip out west. So okay.
What was the name of the park, Jim?
The park, the Dark Sky Park, is called Headlands.
Yeah.
Dark Sky Park. So it's I think it's a public site, you can go down, and they've, got all the red lights, and they're pretty strict about, like don't put your lights on and all that stuff. And then, but it didn't seem to be, it was exactly staged for like amateur astronomers, because they had like, like an area, like a kind of a half stadium down there that I showed you the picture that, you could sit at, and then they had their own observation equipment, but they didn't have any astronomy pads, for, the rest of, for us kind of guys, but, that area of Michigan's pretty dark, it's just before the Mackinac.
Yeah.
If you imagine the Mackinac Bridge is at the top, it's probably like about 15 miles west of the bridge, so, but anyways, it was pretty cool to be able to look up and see that, and to be honest, if you guys go there, I found a place where I set up my telescope because Headlands was crowded. It was called Cecil Bay, which is, I don't know, it used to be a lumber mill area, and now it's just like a little nature area. But, it's at the corner of some roads, and it was really nice and flat, so you could see a lot of stuff to the horizon, So the only problem is you got one general store with one big bright light, but you park the truck in the right spot and you're good to go. So, yeah. So, okay, let somebody else talk now. I'm all squared away.
Greg,
any questions?
Greg, are you ready to go again?
Well, we'll try. Anybody else, or am I ready to go?
Go for it.
Okay, gotta find the darn thing. Let's see. Well, let me get it running up here in just a minute. Hang on. Okay.
We're still going to blame the delay on Jim.
Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay. Well, we're not going to mess with it. We're just going to go with it like this. All right.
Sounds
So
great.
here we are pouring the foundation for the Helitech. There are two parts. There's a foundation, got a big tooth going into the ground. And then a week later, that is, if I can make it work. Well, of course, it doesn't work. Hang on. Let me get over to PowerPoint here. There we go. So a week later, then we set up the forms and poured them for the plinth part, which would support the Helitech. Big pardon? What was the question?
I think it was just background chatter.
Oh, okay. Forms were built by Brett Wiles, this guy here. We discovered a little problem when we took the forms off, which was that the orientation was backwards. It was pointing south and it needed to point north. And the reason for that is that the base of the Helitech is not a perfect rectangle. It has a kind of oblong rectangular shape. And so the plinth forms were designed to support it exactly according to the shape, which meant that if it was backwards by 180 degrees, the plinth that is, in the shape, so would the Helitech be when you mounted it. Okay, question was, well, how the heck did we get this thing out of the ground and turn it around 180 degrees? So my friend Peter has this wonderful blue thing, which is basically a propane tank or pig hauler. And he was more than happy to bring it over. And we dug out the Helitech and we attempted to turn it around. This is it up out of the ground. And we have the brave Nathaniel there, Peter's son, attempting to turn it. And he had a bit of a difficulty getting it turned. As you can see, it was real easy to turn. Let's see if I can get to the next screen now. Next screen, please. Oh, heck. Any ideas?
Space bar?
Space bar is not doing it. It's repeating it. That's repeating it. Let's try something else here.
Arrow key?
What key?
Arrow?
The what?
An arrow key, maybe your right arrow key.
There we go. Thank you. So we did a little fine tuning to make sure that we could get it free and turn it. And, oh, heck. Well, let's not go backwards. So we're almost there, but we had Ed doing a little wiggling there. Okay, now that arrow key doesn't work.
Too many edge.
Any other ideas, Phil? There we go. Finally got it turned around and got it leveled up. We had a little extra dry cement.
That probably would have worked better.
And of course, we had the water boys coming in there, Phil and Ed, with water, which we then poured around the foundation so that that would set up the cement and secure it in the ground. And then we had Peter here, who was so adept at construction things, mixing up concrete. Actually, it was mortar, which we would, was basically butter, so to speak. And he then put that on top of the plinth.
At 145, it should be at 12. But the thing is you're not even taking into account the fact that there's an equation of time correction. Oh, gee,
Jim pontificating.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm the Pope of something. Thanks.
Okay, well, we do another one here. Come on, where's the thing? We're getting ready to lift it. There we go.
Yeah, but help us with this. I don't know where it's supposed to go, guys. It's good. We need to somehow get it so it's flat. crush too much. She's gonna have to tuck them in the corner. Yeah, no, scrape it off. Let's squeeze it out. I'm gonna let you do the work. You know how to quick and squish that in there. So,
Jim, quick, get in front of the camera. Thank you. That's okay.
hold on, don't let the tweaker tweak it. It's easy to tweak. He's gonna have to scrape off, check her square, make it look okay. That's pretty good. Whoever came up with this.
As you can see, it does throw shadow.
Mhm.
There we have the intrepid Helitech crew unmasked and masked. Of course, everybody's doing proper social distancing. I don't know if you can read the subtitles. This is Jim, Equation of Time Nerd Spalding, planning the insert to Helitech. And he has a real good idea, which is, because this is the prototype, it lacks a number of the detailed indices and so forth that the big Helitech has. So we're thinking about, Jim in particular, about creating an insert of some type that would either be portable, so we could install it temporarily if anybody really wanted to read it in detail, or maybe make it a permanent installation of some kind. Or it could be just stored inside the observatory to be brought out when there was interest. So that's the show, folks.
Yeah, big thank you to Tech Venture for that.
What's that?
Big thank you to Tech Venture for that.
Well, Tech Venture didn't have much to do with it, frankly, but that's all right.
Well, Pete and Brett.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the big machine. They're going to find this program again. There we go.
Come on, Katie.
Thanks, Greg.
Well, thank you all.
Just add an hour 40 to it right now until we get the insert figured out.
Okay, an hour 40.
Something like
A
that.
dumb question. Hey, Peter, when you were adding the mortar on top and then you set that on there, are you hoping that the mortar is going to cement those two together and hold it?
That's the idea, yeah.
Mm.
I don't
know.
In fact, Greg's buddy who recommended that method, I think that's probably the best method to use.
Yeah, a lot of times when you are trying to cement things that have already cured,
No, it was mortar we're using, not cement, and we wet both surfaces.
Okay.
I think it's on there for the duration.
Okay.
Unless somebody takes a sledgehammer to it or something.
God forbid.
Yeah, we had a long discussion about the method of cementing, and we ended up going with the mortar. I think I had some kind of special cement glue or something, and I just let the construction people with the expertise call the shot. And I think that's probably going to be fine. It's not going to be under any, side loads unless somebody backs a truck into it, and then we'll just pick it up and stick it back up on top,
They back into that concrete plinth, it'll be the end of their truck.
Yeah. Yeah, that's got another 5 bags of concrete at the base of it there. So
You got like about 20 bags now.
Just about, yep.
Yeah. A lot of concrete,
Yeah, indeed.
And I think that worked out real good because we put it in there and we're wondering like if it's going to settle, and we just said, heck, just get 4 or 5 or whatever, get some concrete, throw it in there, put a little water. Solid.
well, the other Peter was determined to work that a long time with the rod there. We worked that additional concrete back in there a lot.
I think it'll stay put.
Yeah, no, it's not going anywhere.
It'll outlast our lease, I expect, don't you?
Is that where Jimmy Hoffa's buried in that hole?
No, probably not. We'll probably do a show later on the actual reading of the instrument. It's pretty interesting. Tim Doyle has a patent on that particular form. We were reading the patent pretty carefully. So I don't think he ever really sold any of them other than the 2 that he built. One for Fort Wayne, which is now, of course, over at Science Central. They got a nice label on it and so forth. And the other one is in Takaoka, Japan. We don't know what that looks like, but it's probably well cared for.
I wonder if they mounted theirs backwards also the first time.
Well, there are ways of finding out, I guess. We can check on it.
But if it's over there, wouldn't it be backwards? Wouldn't it be the right way? You know, it'd be, you know.
They're on the other side of the timeline, aren't they? How do they figure that?
All I could say was, thank God we didn't get the big one.
Well, yeah, we wouldn't have had to move that one, would we?
Well, it's after 9 o'clock. Do we have any more to go, or?
I have 2 things, but I'll keep it quick.
No, go ahead. Take your time.
So one was an app recommendation that I started using this recently. It's kind of like a forecast app to help you plan your observing. Does anyone use Astropheric or heard of it? Nope. Well, it's for iPhone and Android, and basically what it does is it has a little part at the top that shows cloud cover, and then it has your like seeing and transparency next, and a little line. There's like a line through this that shows where you are currently in time. So that's kind of handy. And then this graph here shows like the moon setting and rising, and also the sun. So that's kind of cool because you can like scroll ahead and kind of see those times. And then also wind direction. It's kind of got everything on it.
That's
temperature.
pretty cool.
It's got temperature. Here's a little icons that just kind of define. Oops, I clicked.
Does it show cloud cover?
Yeah, at the top here.
Mm-hmm.
And then extended cloud forecast. It shows the moon cycles. So yeah. And also if the ISS is doing a flyover, it'll kind of like it does with the sun and the moon, it'll show like its little graph of when you can go out and see it.
Man.
You put your zip code in there to locate yourself, or?
It just knows when you open it. It uses like GPS and your coordinates. So I'll put a link to the website.
What's it called?
Astropheric. You can get it if you have an Android phone or iPhone.
Right.
Yeah,
Sure.
but
How
not,
much
not
is
for us PC users.
There is a website. It looks like the website kind of does the same thing, so I'll put that in the chat now.
That would be good.
I also have a phone app called Good to Stargaze. Gives you the same information.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah, is that free?
I believe it was free because one day I just looked up like amateur astronomy apps and I just started downloading all the free ones just to kind of play with them and see what I liked the best. And I really liked that one because I used to like log into our website and go to that star chart on our page. But this one's, since it's mobile friendly, it's an app, it's a little quicker to get to. And it has basically the same information plus some extras. And then the other thing I wanted to share real quick, Kurt and I on August 11th went up to Michigan and East Jordan, kind of wanting to see with the goal of seeing the meteor shower. And I got us organized a meeting a few weeks before, so a few of us were learning more. Mike was in that meeting, and we were talking about like astrophotography and our cameras and how to work them. So I kind of used what I learned from that meeting and brought my camera out and got an intervalometer. So I had everything set up and got basically what I think is my first good astrophotos, because I had tried before, but like the light pollution really affected what I could capture, and my skill level really affected what I could capture. So after this meeting, I feel like I definitely had a better idea of what I was doing.
Sarah, can I interrupt you?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to let everybody here know Sarah did an amazing, amazing job for her first time out imaging. I'm going to see if I can share a screen here. Let's see here.
I have it open too if you can't find it.
Okay. There's actually, let's see. Want you folks to get a load of this. This is a picture, a whole bunch of pictures that Sarah took, and Phil made a kind of like a panoramic view. And this is her first time out, so I think she gets a huge, huge pat on the back for putting, being able to pull something like this off. Big congrats to you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thanks for helping me.
Oh, I mean, check. I mean that picture is just so cool.
I don't
Wait, are
think
you gonna
we're
pull it up?
not seeing it.
We're not seeing it yet.
You're not seeing it?
We see your
Oh.
screen.
We
We
see
see
a
that.
thumbnail.
Thumbnails.
Oh.
Oh.
I have it open on mine too. I'll just see if I can share it. Because I want to see it. I want to share the time lapse too, and it might be a little bit too dark for people to see, but we'll see if.
All right, hang on 1 second. Hang on. I'm not giving up that easy.
Okay.
Hang on 1 second. All right. There. I will do this. How's that?
There you go.
Wow.
very nice.
Yeah. This is her first time out shooting.
Wow.
And check that out.
The dark skies definitely really helped.
I mean, look at, no, this was you paying attention to and learning how to use your camera and intervalometer. I mean, look at that Milky Way and meteors, and and then Phil helped stitch a whole bunch together to turn this into a panoramic display. So
were these all stacked together, or were this just one or two shots? What happened here?
They're stacked. So I thought I had only caught like 1 or 2 meteors when I had a total of like 520 images, and when I flipped through them on my camera, only 1 or 2 stood out to me. But then I also made a time lapse, and Phil looked through the time lapse and paused it when he noticed different ones, and he took, I guess, those screen grabs and kind of stitched them together.
Oh.
Yeah.
So did you emphasize the ones with the meteors, or are they at the same, like, did you boost the luminance to show the meteors for the ones where you had a meteor, or you didn't have to do any of that stuff?
I don't think so, unless Phil, did you boost it a little bit when you stitched them?
No, I did a little balancing, a little bit, but for the most part, yeah, the meteors are pretty reliably
pretty bright.
Right.
So check this out. Can you see this one picture right here?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a single picture. This is not any stacks or nothing.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. This is
is that on a mount or just a tripod, or what do we got?
It was on a tripod.
Okay. Is it like 5 seconds or something?
This was 13 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I had the intervalometer set up to pause every 10 seconds and then take another 13 seconds. I kind of wish I made the pause only like 5 seconds, because I wonder if I could have caught any more.
Yeah,
That's what I would have recommended. Yeah.
1 second would have probably added 2 or 3 more in there, probably.
But I mean, check that out for first time out.
Yeah.
Doing that without a fancy mount or nothing, just mounting the camera on a tripod. So
yeah.
Now this was 2 frames. It wasn't a single frame.
Oh, okay. Geez.
Oh yeah, it's the 2 different meteors. So like it's 1 frame, and then I think Phil took the meteor at the top and put it on top of the other one.
Yeah. And the one on the right is the that is the correct one. And then the one on the left was brought in just when we first got the first images from Sarah, you know, it was really interesting.
Sarah, if you're going to show the time lapse, could you slow that down a little bit? I'd really like to see that one meteor kind of in the center or the left of the screen that really kind of shot really at us there, but it went so quick. I just wonder if you could slow that down.
Yeah. I really like the horizon too, with like the trees dark and everything.
Yeah.
I really wanted to include some kind of grounding, like foreground.
Yeah, because I don't see that very often.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you did an amazing job. Now hang on.
Do you have a time lapse, Gaddis?
No, I'll let you do that.
Okay.
But there's one other thing that I do want to share with everybody, and that's it's a major accomplishment. Give me 1 second, please. There we go. So we also have a first-time imager, and he's present. There's Mike. Mike, congrats. This is Mike. Mike came over.
I recognize. Thank you, Geddes. And Geddes has been absolutely wonderful. Taking time out to help me and Sarah. And we got a long way. I have a long ways to go, but it's I'm encouraged because of all the advice that Geddes is willing, and time he's willing to share. So thanks again, Geddes.
What are all the arrows, Geddes?
So, well, the purpose here, Peter, was Mike came over to my house, and we weren't expecting any clear skies whatsoever. So these clouds were everywhere, and we saw a very, very slight break in the clouds, and Mike went ahead and snapped this picture using what he learned. He set up the camera and did everything himself, and he took his first picture. And at first it didn't seem like there was anything there, but what I'm doing is the arrows are pointing to the stars, and here you can see the handle of the Big Dipper, and you can see Alpha Major, and each of these arrows is pointing to a different star. So the purpose here was to show Mike that even in a very, very short, just a couple of second long exposure on a tripod with clouds and all that, how many stars he was able to capture. And the sun was like, we were still watching the sunset. So this really just goes to show, you know, how good Mike did. So Mike deserves a big, big pat on the back also.
Thanks. It's a start, but quite honestly, didn't think we'd see any stars. And then things cleared a little bit, and we thought maybe we'd see 1 or 2 stars. So Geddes said, go for it. And so took a few shots, and lo and behold, turned out better than what we had expected.
Yep. And, you know, there's a lot of clear nights that we've had, Mike. So I hope you take advantage of these clear nights and just set up your tripod and camera the way we did when you were here, and, you know, try taking some pictures on your own, and let's see how they turn out.
You keep at it. I will.
And let's see here. Yeah, so I guess I'm going to have a problem showing these pictures. Let me see here.
Sarah, I got a housekeeping question for you. I got to go here in a minute. I didn't receive the Zoom link tonight. And I see there was an email here on the Moo group that Daniel Veranak was calling about 7:49 that he was saying, is there a meeting tonight? And I never received any link to that. How are you sending out the link? Are you headlining it like tonight's meeting or something? Or
sent it out last night and I copied and pasted the membership list emails. So
I got mine from Gene, I thought.
I did too.
I had
I
to
did
call.
too.
I had to
Yeah.
call Jim Spalding to find out what the link was.
Yeah, Sarah, I didn't get anything from you. I got mine from Gene.
So when you say from Gene, you mean his personal email, or do you mean like the Fort
Yes.
Wayne?
Yes.
Okay.
yeah, that's weird because I'll double check the list, but I copied and pasted it and it had like 67 names on it.
Does that typically work in the
It
past?
worked last time. I did the exact same thing I did last month.
Okay, because
And I used the FWAS email and it came in I got it in like my regular personal email inbox. So I figured, okay, it worked because I got the
Wow. Well, I'm glad Gene sent me the link. Otherwise, I would have forgot about it, to be honest.
He sent me my newsletter in an email, and it had
That's
the
what I was
link.
wondering. Can we put that link in the newsletter?
Yeah, we've so far used the same link for most meetings, I think. Except
Right.
maybe like the first couple online ones we did. But since that, we've used the same link.
And the idea is the same? The ID is the same?
Yeah. You got an ID and a password.
I didn't get a password, but I didn't need one.
Okay, if you click the link, you don't need the password. But if you manually entered
You don't need the password if you've already got Zoom on your computer.
No, if you got
only if you're the host, Jim.
No, listen, there's a Zoom generated a link that's got a hyperlink in it that got sent out. If you click on the hyperlink, you don't have to enter a password. But there's also a text that has the actual Zoom meeting address, which ends with 8610. If you were to manually enter that in, then you have to enter a password. Because
Sorry, it worked for me.
Did you click on the link, or
Goodbye,
did you?
Sarah.
No, did you click on the link, or did you manually enter it into the box?
Manually entered it.
Well, that's what Zoom's telling me, Gregory. So I don't know. I'm just
Jim,
saying.
I think that password requirement might not kick in until like October, but it is.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, okay.
Well,
anyhow, I think the problem is initially I sent out Zoom meeting invitations, based on the email addresses I had gotten from, Phil and Gene and whatever I had, and some of those were incorrect, and we had trouble, getting those corrected. And then I'm dependent on the email contacts that are in the Fort Wayne Astronomical Society contact directory to be the correct. So that's why I let Sarah send out the email through the FWAS account, which I believe is the correct way to do it. Just send out one link, but we just need to look and make sure that all the email addresses are correct or live from the FWAS account,
Okay, so who said they didn't get it? Let me write down your names and see, because I'm pretty sure everyone was on the list.
I did not get it from you.
Okay.
I did not get it, Sarah.
Okay.
And Daniel Varanak apparently did not get it.
I don't believe I got it from you either.
Dang. Well, I'm glad everyone's here anyway.
Well, like I said, I got mine from Gene.
Okay.
I guess I didn't get
Yeah, I don't know what happened because I did the same thing as last time.
Yeah. Well, don't hesitate, like maybe this evening, to just send out a message to everybody and just say, just ignore, this is a test. And then, we can let you know if we get it or not.
I have a comment.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yep.
Yeah, on the first one that you sent out a few months ago, I don't know if it was in that message or I just stumbled onto it. I put it on my calendar reminder, and every month it comes up on the third Tuesday, and all I got to do is go to that and click on it, and it works.
I'll
That's nice,
second
yeah.
that. Yeah, I'll second that. That's
Who
the
was
way mine
speaking
works.
just then? Zoom wasn't showing me who's speaking.
Oh, it was Martin.
Martin? Okay.
My iPad's kind of flat here. Sometimes you don't see me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have it on my calendar too. I think when Jim, did you set that up, Jim? Like when you started the Zoom?
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. But I think we've had some internal discussions about whether to put it in the eyepiece.
Mm-hmm.
And we might want to revisit that and just put the whole link in the eyepiece.
Yeah, if we use the
But-
same one each time.
You know, and if it becomes a problem, we can always change the address and not put it in the eyepiece.
Right. And I understand what Gregory is saying about the passwords, but you know, the last time I went in Zoom, which was probably within a couple of weeks ago, the Zoom settings require you to use a password because of the security issues that they had, you know, 6 months ago. But like I said, the password is buried in the link. This is according to Zoom. So I don't know, maybe we need to generate a new link and just leave that new link be, you know, the link. I don't know, you know.
Can I offer an opinion?
Yeah, sure. You got lots of great opinions. No problem.
When you load Zoom for the first time, you set up an account. That's your password and everything. So when you do exactly what you said, when you click on a hyperlink or a URL, it happens automatically for you. And that's what you said is exactly what happened. Like for me, I just clicked the link and it opens up automatically. I don't have to enter in any user name or password or anything because
that's correct.
I already did it previously. So
yeah.
So if that's what's happening, I forget who. I mean, I don't see the pictures lined up, but whoever was having the difficulty, it might be because they don't have Zoom loaded on their PC and they have not created an account yet.
Mm-hmm.
That
sounds right. You can still run it. You can still run it from your browser.
Yes.
It's slower. But it's not recommended, but it's slower, but it will work, you know.
Right.
We can say like, we can put the link in, and since it's always the same link and it's always active, we can be like, click the link and test it out before the meeting. And if you have trouble, you can contact whoever.
You know what? I just realized there is going to be a problem if we post that and make it open to everybody. People may take advantage of that and use it upon themselves because I was able to do that a couple of months ago.
Right. And what you're talking about is you can use the link and there's an option that is enabled right now that lets you join the meeting before the host.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
so I could disable the option. So basically then you can click all your way, but if I'm not hosting it or
right. You know, or you can specify a time, make it valid only a certain time. Like it has to be on this day, starting at this time.
Okay. Well, you know, I'm more than willing to address that. But why don't I just I could generate a new link and just shoot it over to Sarah and a bunch of you guys, and we could just give it a dry run, and then we're good to go for all the next set. But that would mean that we're updating the old link and say Martin has got his old link. Then he clicks on the old link, and he's going to be the only one in the room, you know?
No, I understand. I'm just saying that there may be people taking advantage of that URL, that link, and using Zoom, using your account and using the Zoom time
Well, I could just disable the join before host and just
right. That's all it takes.
I think I got. I'll just make sure that I can put some other people in as hosts or something. I thought I had you or Sarah or Phil or something. I'll just add some hosts and
yeah,
we'll go with it. You know.
Yep, that'll work.
Okay.
I think technically, you
I
go
would-
ahead, Michael.
I would vote against putting a new link up because there's some people that I don't know if they're not on the email list, but I've told them that if they use that link previously, they can just get into the meeting.
Yeah.
They're not going to use it for personal use, but if they're not getting the email, then they can just use that old link. So
I think we're all on the same page, Michael, but thanks. I agree with that, you know.
The link is not the problem.
Yeah. So we really got to do two things. I can update the hosting, and then I guess Sarah just has to validate the Fort Wayne Astronomical Society contact list with whatever Phil's got or whatever we know are good emails.
Yeah, she has to make sure that her ISP or her email client or whatever is sending out 62 notices.
It's not just that, Geddes. I was getting like bounce backs from, like, for example, the son of one of my wife's friends. We bought him a membership in the Astronomical Society. In my contacts, he's got 2 different emails, right? So you got to make sure you've supplied the right one to the society. Sometimes, like Ed Brown had Ed Brown and Edward L. Brown in my contacts, and only one was active, and we were sending to the wrong Ed Brown, and so it was bouncing back, but we got that corrected. But there's numerous cases of that with, you know, that's basically, you know, because we're doing all this electronic stuff, that's why we're having problems, you know. I mean, it's not in person.
Sarah, I'll get you the list earlier this time. I didn't put you on the original thing, and you had to ask me for it. And now that I know that you're controlling that, I'll get that list to you more prominent. You know.
The thing is, I used the one that you sent me after I had requested it. I went in there and copied all the emails and pasted them into a list and then put them in, like, in the address bar, and then sent it.
So.
But I don't think there's anything wrong with the membership list, or so I don't know where it went wrong. Because I had like 67 emails, and I went through the list, and like even after I had copied them, I compared them and made sure everyone was on. So I don't know what happened.
Well, I'm going to say good night. It's well past the meeting time, so if you guys want to hammer it out, go ahead. I'm bailing.
Okay.
Bye, Julie.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night. Great pictures, Geddes. What's going on?
Well, I know everyone wants to bail, so I just want to show everybody, because I'm supposed to do a Moo thing, you know. So I'm just kind of showing, here's what the Moo group has been doing over the last month.
Wow.
Yeah, so here's a picture from Phil, and we don't got time to talk about these, but there's one from Dan of Seder, and there's one from Bill Needham, and there's another one from Phil.
Wow.
Yeah, some really awesome stuff. There's another one from Dan. And this one, like I said, from Sarah, I would print that and I'd frame this one.
That's pretty cool, man.
That's one I took off the tripod. This is just to show what can be done off the tripod.
Is that neolite?
Yep. And that's just regular DSLR on a tripod.
Wow.
There's a historic image right there. And there's another one there, M16 and M17. And so the Moo group has been pretty busy over the last month. There's a M63 sunflower. There's the veil. And this one was taken by one of our members in Virginia. Oh, by the way, did he ever send his application in? Did Bill Tibbles, Sarah, or Phil, did you ever get the application from him?
No.
Okay, I'll ping him for that. So, okay, that's all I got. But hats off and big congratulations to Mike and to Sarah for your first time images. You guys really did fantastic, I think.
Yeah.
Well, thanks. Congratulations, Ken. You got your name up there. You're muted, so.
Yeah, I got it up. You're right. Figuring this out a little bit at a time, so.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to see Sarah's time lapse. Slow down.
Oh yeah, do it.
Oh yeah, we got to see that.
I want to see that one meteor that was brilliant, but it was like a split part of a second was all it was. So, slow it down.
So if you're able to bump up the brightness on your screens, you might want to do that because it's a time lapse of the photos are unedited, so they're a little bit darker than the ones that I did touch up.
You gotta do that batch processing thing.
Yeah, I did do it, but it bumped up the noise as well, and I was worried it would be like too prominent for this time lapse, too like distracting.
Well, all right. And then later on, we're gonna have to teach you how to get rid of that noise.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see here.
Yeah, I did get to see one Perseid without even trying. I was out looking at Vega one night and saw one just shoot across the sky.
Cool.
Do you see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so hopefully I can just make this full screen. Do you still see it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I'll play it once, like all the way through without pausing, and then we can kind of go back and forth in it. Okay. Here we go.
There was one.
Oh, I saw a flash.
Yeah, there was another one. There's another one.
That was a bright one.
That was an airplane.
Yeah, that one was an airplane.
Yeah, there is
Gotcha.
that.
So let's see if I can kind of move around with
Can
it.
you slow it down?
I can kind of go screen by, oh, it's not. Okay, I guess I gotta just kind of jump around in it a little bit.
Oh, see, yeah, you might miss actually.
I wonder if I can, I have the actual video file on my laptop and I can kind of move the cursor back and forth to go. Let me try that real quick. Hopefully it lets me share that with you. Yes.
Don't you guys agree for a first time effort that just knocks it out of the park?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so do you see my desktop?
Yep.
Yep.
Do you see this?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Does this make it full screen? No, it doesn't. Okay.
It's
Oh,
not
this
full
one,
screen.
this one. Okay, here we go. I'll try to drag this out of the way too. So that was one in the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're all over.
There we go.
She's catching satellites too. That
So that was one, I wasn't sure. I thought maybe this was a satellite at first because it's such a like steady trail, like such an even trail. But then once you watch the video, the satellites look so different.
yeah, they do.
Like the meteors really pop out. And then somewhere around here, there's a couple. Oh, that's a plane.
Okay.
That one's a plane.
That's a B-52.
So here's some faint ones.
Oh yeah, there's several in there.
3 there, 4.
I'm going back and forth, so it's just 2, I think,
Yeah,
or
but
maybe 3.
That's pretty cool.
There's 2 meteors that are one frame.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
they were one frame apart. That's also why I thought it was maybe satellites for these, because I was like, well, what's the chances of like 2 frames right after each other both having a meteor?
Yeah, those are meteors.
And then Okay, so there's also these weird little, oh, there's one in the center, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. You're right. Right there.
Yeah.
That's, there's one.
Now you should have two right in there. You might use your right and left arrow key and maybe you can.
I think that one, it's just, okay, so look below where that meteor just was. See those little flickering areas?
Yeah.
Is that just hot pixels? Like what is that?
Hard to say. It probably not a hot pixel because you'd see that on more than one frame. So believe it or not, this happens quite a bit. Things like fireflies and things.
Oh.
So, it could have been like 50 feet away and invisible to your eye, but the camera will pick it up.
Okay, because I noticed that like throughout it, I see like these little flickers, and I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, believe it or not, it happens quite a bit. For things like fireflies get picked up.
Those are meteors coming straight at you.
This was the best one. So when I was scrolling through the reel, I thought this was my only meteor because like the color change in it. I thought that was like a giveaway that it was definitely a meteor, and the other things were probably just satellites. But
that's a doozy.
I was happy to learn that they were all meteors because that's kind of.
I mean, check out the Milky Way too. In that, that's something. And you did that on a tripod with the camera, and what you used the kit lens, didn't you?
Yeah, because I wanted to get some landscape and a bigger view of the sky.
Right. Do you remember what F number you used?
What is that right there?
That's a plane.
Oh, okay.
And then is this a satellite that's crossing its path?
Oh,
right there?
It could be.
The satellites are really kind of short little tick marks that go across. And
it probably is a satellite, and I'll tell you why. Because planes have blinking lights, and when you see it across a whole bunch of frames like that, you would have picked up the blinking lights.
I see it.
There's some near the center too, but they leave smaller trails.
And some of those satellites they disappear in the Earth's shadow. I mean, you could. All of a sudden they come in. So she picked up. She picked up 2 planes and 5 satellites.
Wow.
And a firefly.
And then as the night.
Partridge in a pear tree.
Yeah. As the night went on, the moon rose. So at the end, the frames were a lot lighter.
Right.
Than way back here.
Sarah, did you get my list of your frames?
I did. I haven't collected them yet, but.
Okay. Yeah. We're going to do a high resolution final for.
And Phil, don't hesitate to, when you do a batch processing of that, to brighten them up a little bit and everything, and when the noise comes out just a little bit, you can include a little bit of surface blurring or things like that, or dust and scratch in the batch processing too. So that'll take care of the noise.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's not showing it very well.
We're going to be done.
Yeah, you questions too, but that was set up right.
How many miles is that driving up there? The Boyne Mountain?
Huh?
Either way, I just curious. So is it 350 miles? How far is that up there?
Oh, I think it's around there. It's east of Jordan. It's not quite all the way in the Upper Peninsula.
So the upper part of the Lower Peninsula.
Yeah, it was. I looked up on the light pollution map, and it said where we were was Bortle 3. So I had never seen the Milky Way before or anything. And
wow.
So that was really cool to see.
Sarah, could you go back to your star trails?
Yeah.
there's something that you don't see very often, and that's star trails that show the South Pole, kind of. You see the curve at the bottom of the screen, that's toward the south. So you don't see star trails that low on the horizon very often.
South of the celestial equator.
Yeah, that should be straight across.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is captured in this image. It's about 80% of the way up the picture.
Yeah.
Is the celestial equator.
Yeah.
Huh.
And it's
About halfway down through that meteor there.
Right. Yep.
Where is it? Like right here?
Up a little higher, yeah.
Higher, right
Where the star trails are straight.
And
Oh, okay.
your camera is a little bit at an angle, but not much, you know. So but they should be.
That's
straight.
really cool.
Yeah, they're not. See, they're not curving. They're not curving up, and they're not curving down.
Yeah.
They're moving straight across. So that's the exact celestial equator.
Huh.
How long was the exposure?
This one is I forget. The exposure is 13 seconds, but this is like maybe 30 to 50 stacked frames. I used Star Stacks, which is a free program, and it just like, it's kind of cool because you upload your photos and it shows the first one and then it shows the layer of the second photo, third, fourth, fifth, so you kind of see the trails form.
So if you add it all up, I mean, it'd be more than 15 seconds, right?
Oh yeah. Oh well. Yeah. Technically. Each one's 13, but added up.
On your main video, was that about 3.5 hours?
I think that's about how long it was. I haven't done the math really, but I think based on how far the planets moved.
Yeah.
Well, everything moved. I think that's about.
But you got to subtract out the dead time. You had 10 seconds between frames, right?
Yeah.
So over that whole time span, you have to subtract out all, 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds. So to answer his question, the actual exposure time, how many frames are in that stack, Phil? Do you remember?
515.
Yeah. So 515 times 13 seconds, and then minus 515 times 10, to actually get the light exposure time.
And I wanted to show this too, because when I had all my photos and I was trying to edit them, they were super noisy. So I did download this program called Starry Landscape Stacker. And this is 30 photos and on the bottom stacked, and it removed all the noise. So that was cool.
Really good.
Yeah. And this costs like $40, but I figured since I don't have like a tracking mount or anything, I'll probably be using it a lot for all my photos.
What star is that?
That's actually Jupiter.
Okay, so you know what? Just for the fun of it, send me that bottom picture and I'll look up to see what your limiting magnitude is. I'll be able, if you tell me the date and the time when you took that picture, and I'll go into the sky and replicate when you took that picture, and I'll find these background stars, and I'll find out the faintest one that you recorded, and I'll bet you'll be shocked at how faint you were able to record.
Okay. There's a free it's not the same version for PC and Mac. It's like a different program, but it's free, and I'm trying to remember the name of it. But I saw someone else's Milky Way photo and asked them what they used to stack their images, and I can't remember it, but their program was free because they were on PC, and I had to pay $40 because I'm on Mac.
And if you were to bring that into Photoshop and just darken it slightly, raise that black point up a little bit, that would improve the contrast a bunch.
Yeah. Yeah, I was trying to fiddle around in Photoshop, but I couldn't get it like totally. Like if I reduce the noise, then some of the stars were kind of reduced as well.
Right.
So.
Yep. Well, very, very, very good. A plus.
Thanks.
Okay, I'm gonna sign off.
I
Is,
think I'm gonna
is
sign
Jim
off.
dead?
I'm here. Oh, haha.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Jim. And thanks,
All right.
Sarah.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah, I
really good
can-
meeting.
This was a good session.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It was really cool to see everything, the things people are working on and all that. So it's cool.
Yeah.
I agree. Had a lot of fun. See you, everybody.
All right,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Good night.
All right.
All right.